Welcome to our next lecture of NDT. So, with last class we have completed our 3 units in which we have discussed about ultrasonic testing. Now we are further proceeding to our unit 4, which is radiography. So, generally everyone has heard about radiography. Everyone has sometime has undergone the radiography testing. So, what is first of all the radiography testing is nothing but, so in radiography same we will be having a frequency of sound waves, that is nothing but a wide range of it is used in wide range of applications like medicine, energy, engineering, forensic, security, etc. So the radiography offers a various advantages over other methods because it can have exposed to a large range of radiations. So it is most widely used in NDT technique for the detection of internal flaws. So the proper orientation of X-ray beams planar defects can also be detected by using radiography. So generally the radiography itself is nothing but by usage of X-rays or gamma rays. We generally use which are having high energy or high intensity rays. We can able to identify the flaws present inside the material. We know that the sources of light are the any rays which you are seeing has been divided into various forms, that is visible range, infrared region, UV region, and what we say X-rays, gamma rays. So these are the higher energy waves where whose frequency will be more, whose wavelength will be more. So using those frequencies we can able to identify the defects present in that. So when if your bone is fractured, many of us will have gone to hospital where we will be exposed to X-rays. So we cannot able to see that X-rays, but our when it passes through our body because of some reactions on a film, we can able to observe the bone fracture visibility easily. So the same thing will be happening to the material. How the process goes, what are the various steps involved in it, that we are going to discuss in this chapter. It is also suitable for detecting the changes in the material composition. If various materials have been added to the material, because of the presence of that material, it gives a different way, what we say output when you see on a silver screen. Okay, so for example, this is one of the best example I have given. In the medical, you can see that your bones will be visible easily like this by using an X-ray. Similarly, when you are exposing the X-rays or the gamma rays to a material, so you will be seeing this kind of thing where you can observe that there is a flaw present in this. So in general, RT, that is radiography testing, is a method of inspecting the material for hidden flaws by using the ability of shorter wavelength electromagnetic radiation with high energy protons. So in this, the protons used will be of high energy protons, but with of shorter wavelength. The intensity of the radiation that penetrates and passes through the material either be captured by a radiography sensitive material or by using a real-time radiography. This film radiography is nothing but the films which you generally see for your X-rays. So the radiography is the oldest approach, and it is most widely used because with this we can able to identify any kind of material. Okay, we can easily detect the flaws present inside the material. Okay, so what is the basic principle behind this is nothing but in radiography testing, the part to be tested should be exposed to the radiation, and the piece of radiation should be made to fall on a sensitive film. The radiation sources like X-rays and gamma rays are generally used for the radiation of the so as a sources of radiation. The part will stop some of the radiations that is happening when you are exposed to X-rays, some of your body bones, but whereas muscles will allow the flow of your, what we say, the X-rays to pass through that, because your muscle is a soft thing which absorbs the X-rays or allows the X-rays to pass, which completely absorbs it, but whereas the bones will not allow the X-rays to pass through it. Because of that, you can able to visualize your bones in an X-ray film. So the radiation that passes through the part will be exposed the film and shows the shadow graph of the part. The film drawn will vary from the amount of radiation reaching the film throughout the test object. So how dense, how thick you are sending the radiations, how much energy radiations you are sending, basing on that the test output will give the test object will give the output. So whereas the dark area indicates that more exposure, that is nothing but higher radiation intensities has been sent, but whereas lighter areas indicates that the higher radiation intensity is less exposed. Okay, for example, this is your radiation source, either it is a gamma source or a X-ray source. When it is being made to fall on a material, the material will give you this kind of approach. So where the less exposure will be a brighter way, where more exposure will be in a darker way. So the variation in the image darkening can be used to determine the thickness or the composition of material, and would also reveal the presence of flaws present inside the material. So what are the most advantages of radiography testing is nothing but both the surface and internal discontinuities can be studied. We can able to study the surface. For example, if you are having various surfaces coated on a different, for example, on a silver plate you have coated different materials, so the different materials will give you a different type of what we say image, because all will not observe the radiations in a similar way. All will be observing in a different ways. Because of that, the surface and internal discontinuities can be studied easily. The significant variations in the compositions can be studied. Okay, so for example, you are using a cast iron, so variations in the because of the variations of the what we say the composition, it gives different kinds of dark and bright outputs. Okay, it can be used on a varieties of material. It can be used for inspection of hidden areas, like already we have seen that broken bones or a broken material can be easily visualized. So the very minimum or no part preparation is required in this. When you have gone to a doctor, he does not apply any kind of solution to your hand or bone fracture. He just sends a X-ray beam to allow to pass through your body, basing on which you can able to see the film. So the permanent test record can be maintained easily. The good portability, we can be taking it to any place, because the gamma rays where isotopes are formed can be easily moved from one place to other form, because the gamma rays are generally produced because of nucleuses. Okay, so the nucleons are generally creating the gamma rays, which can be easily transported from one place to other place easily. So what are the disadvantages is the continuous exposure of the X-rays will be hazardous to your body. So because of that, you should not be continuously exposed. The person who's continuously exposed to body, whose body is continuously exposed to X-rays may get skin cancer. Okay, so the high degree of skill and experience is required when you are trying to send this. If an insecure or unskilled person is there, so he cannot able to understand which kind of X-ray beams has to be sent when a human is present, when a material is present, so that he has to understood. For that, the labor should be a very much skilled or versatile labor should be there. The equipment is relatively expensive. Obviously the X-ray machines are very much expensive. This process is generally a slow process, high directional, because in this these X-rays are not either affected by electric field or magnetic field. They are purely directional. So the depth of discontinuity is not identified. In this you can able to identify the fracture, but where exactly the fracture is present, if it is a continuous material, you cannot able to identify. It requires two-sided access of the component. Yes, one side you have to send the signals, other side you have to receive the signal. Whereas in ultrasonic we have seen that pulse echo technique, where you can send the signal from one side and receive the signals back from the surface at the same end. So what is the physics behind the radiation is nothing but nature of penetration. So both X-rays and gamma rays are electromagnetic radiations. All the light sources are electromagnetic radiations. The electromagnetic spectrum that occupies frequency range than other higher than ultraviolet rays. With respect to frequencies, it will occupy a higher frequencies comparing to that of ultraviolet radiation. In terms of frequency, gamma rays generally will have higher frequency compared to that of the X-rays. So the major distinction between the X-ray and gamma ray is that the origin where X-rays is being generated and where gamma rays are being generated. So the both X-ray and gamma rays are in the form of a waveforms, as like radio waves, light waves, or any microwaves. So the X-rays and gamma rays cannot be seen, felt, or heard. They does not possess any charge and not deflected by any magnetic or electric field. So this is the scale where we can able to differentiate the various waves basing upon their wavelength and basing upon their energy of photon or frequency. If you see that here gamma rays, X-rays will be on a higher level. Okay, so whereas our visible light will be in this region, so infrared region, UV region. In between this we will be having a small region where everything is visible to us. So beyond that we cannot see this radio waves, microwaves. For example, you will be having microwave in your home, where microwaves will be sent by the machine which cannot be seen. So similarly here you see that soft x-rays and hard x-rays are used. Generally for in medical appliances, soft x-rays are used because continuous exposure of x-rays for your body will cause skin cancers. Hard x-rays are used for the materials which are harder and very thick. Beyond that, if you want to go, you go for gamma x-rays. The electromagnetic radiations, obviously you have studied from our school life that the light travels in the form of electromagnetic radiations, but all the light particles will have the energy in the form of packets, which we call it as photons. But whereas in this, the photons will be having a large amount of energy, because of the frequency is more, it will be having more amount of energy. So the only difference between the various types of electromagnetic radiations is nothing but the amount of energy which the photon is carrying. So due to shorter wavelength, X-rays and gamma rays, they have more energy to pass through. So within a short period, their wavelength will be much shorter. They travel within a small time period. They will have a n number of waves. So within that small time period, it has to transport a large amount of energy which the photon is generally carrying. So as they pass through the material, they are scattered and absorbed, and the degree of penetration depends upon the kind of matter and the material which we are exposed. So what are the properties of X-rays and gamma rays? If you see, they are not detected by human sense. Neither it can be seen, neither it can be heard, or neither it can be felt by human. They always travels in a straight line at a speed of light. Their path cannot be changed either by electric field or magnetic field, because they don't possess any charge, or they don't possess any mass. So they can be diffracted, refracted to a small degree at interference between the two different materials. Means if you are having two different materials like a body, steel and iron, when you are bringing together, because of the difference of the material, they may undergo small deviation, but they will not be getting too much refracted or diffracted because of the materials. Okay, so the degree of penetration depends upon the energy, how much they are possessing the energy. Basing on that, they will be getting penetrated through the material. They have enough energy to ionize a material. Means when you are having a positive ion or a molecule present in the path of X-rays, so they will give the energy to excite the nucleus present, to excite the electron present in the outer shell. Okay, so because of which they can able to damage or destroy the living cells. So electromagnetic radiation sources. So what are the various types of sources? Is nothing but X-ray tube. So this is a same technique which you have studied in your conventional X-ray radiography. That is nothing but you will be having a vacuum glass tube, from where one side you will be sending the electrons, other side you will be trying to concentrate all the electrons at a cathode. So where we will be creating X-ray beams. So this you might have studied, that low voltage power supply will be done where the cathode is present and anode is present. So when you are trying to send the signals from cathode to anode, all will be concentrated at the anode. Basing on that excitation, we will be getting some rays which we call it as X-rays. Here what happens generally is nothing but the electrons which are present in a higher energy state, they will release some amount of energy to come back to a stable state. When they are coming back to the stable state, they will release some amount of energy. So that energy we generally call as X-rays. The stream of electrons is concentrated in a beam by a cylinder or a focusing cup. The anti-cathode is a slip of material with a high melting point recessed to anode, where it is struck by the beam of electrons. It is by impinging the anti-cathode. Anti-cathode is nothing but anode. That fast moving electrons gives rise to X-rays. The development of electronics has led an availability of constant potential units, which gives a stable operating condition. The replacement of glass tube by metal ceramic has led to an extended tube life. That is nothing but previously when you in school days you might have studied that this whole exposure will be enclosed in a vacuum glass tube. That's what they are saying. Now presently they are not using glass tube, but whereas we are using metal ceramics. Okay, the X-ray machines are characterized by operating voltage and current, which determine the penetration. How much amount, if you are using large amount of voltage and current, because of that the electrons which are coming out will be having large amount of intensity, and the X-rays which are generated will be having more amount of energy. So the modern X-ray generators are available at 450 kilowatts and 50 milliamperes. So the highly automated self-propelled X-ray mini crawlers which travel within pipelines are used to radiography of pipelines and wells from inside. So this is a machine where you will be having a X-ray X-ray setup which will be traveling inside the pipe, just like you might have seen that when you are undergoing digging some pipes, you will be having a railway track. Similarly, a mini crawler will be present which passes through the pipelines and will be trying to detect the flaws present in the pipe. The area of the anti-cathode, that is nothing but at the anode where the electrons are struck, we will be having a focal spot or a target. We call it as a target. So it is essential that this area should be sufficiently large in order to avoid the local heating, because all the electrons which are having high energy are coming and falling on the anode, because of which the anode will be getting too much heated. Because of that heating, if it is a small area, it cannot able to dissipate the heat, because of which it will get damaged. The projection of local spot on a surface perpendicular to the axis of the beam X-rays is termed as optical focus. So the focus has as small as possible in order to achieve the maximum sharpness in radiographic image. So the production of X-rays, the X-rays are produced when fast moving electrons are suddenly brought to rest by colliding. So when they are moving fast and they are suddenly brought to rest by using an anode, they has to release some energy. That's what I have been saying. So that extra energy which they are releasing when they come to rest is that energy is nothing but as X-rays. So the electrons may lose the energy by ionizing and exciting the excitation of the target atom. The accelerated electrons lose the kinetic energy rapidly at the surface of the metal and energy conversion. So the conversions will take place in three different ways. That is very small fraction, that is less than 1% is converted into X-ray radiation. This conversion fraction depends upon the empirical formula, that is F is equal to 1.1 into 10 to the power of minus 9 ZV, where Z is the atomic number of the atom which you are using and V is the target energy of the electron volts which you have sent, with which the electricity is passed. So approximately 99% of energy of the electrons is converted into heat by increasing the thermal vibrations of the atoms of the target and the temperature, which rises considerably. So some of the electrons have sufficient energy to eject the orbital electrons from the atom of the target material that is getting ionized. That is nothing but anode, which is kept at the other surface, will be having a large amount of energy that the electrons can go and excite the the molecules present inside the anode. The secondary electrons produced where that electrons which are present inside the anode will be called as secondary electrons, which will be trying to escape from the surface of the target and subsequently recaptured by the further producing the heat and secondary waves. The two important distinguish between these two are nothing but we have to understand when the X-rays are being generated, how intense X-rays we are generating, what is the quality. So the first term quality is nothing but refers to how much radiation is generated, quantity, that is nothing but intensity. Okay, second term is nothing but what kind of radiation, how far, how much energy it is possessing in it. So that is called as quality. Okay, so the high energy X-ray sources is nothing but which are having high energy with it. The photons which the X-rays are carrying, it should have a large amount of energy. The inspection of thicker surfaces is generally carried out by high energy surface. Already I have told, for our body we need not to expose for high energy X-rays. If you are for soft X-rays itself, you are continuously exposing, our body will be getting our bones may get decomposed sometimes if you are continuously exposing to X-rays. Even you will get bone cancer or skin cancer. Okay, so whereas these high energy X-rays are generally used for materials, the energy possessed by these X-rays will be around 1 milli electron volts or more. So using high X-rays we can able to possess the large distance thickness ratios. Means if a material is is a high thicker or it's of a good thickness and to a large distance it is present, so we can able to identify the flaws present inside the material. Also small focal spots, if there is a small focal point where the amount has to be scattered, and we have to identify that particular area, small area, that can be used by using this high energy. We can concentrate these at a particular point. The number of machines available for high X-rays are Syntron, Betron, Van de Graaff. These are the various types of electrostatic generators existing in present days. So next is gamma radiations. Gamma radiations are generally nothing but radioactive elements. The radioactive elements are nothing but the elements which cannot hold its energy because of its unstable nature. So when example uranium, titanium, so these plutonium, these elements, what they do is, because of their nature and because the amount of more amount of nucleons present inside, they cannot able to become stabilized. So to become stable, what they do is they will release some amount of neutrons from there, that is nothing but nucleons from that, either it is protons or neutrons they will release. So nuclear fission you might have studied, same thing happens. This is they will release some amount of nucleons from it to get stabilized state. So when that energy is released, that energy is nothing but called as gamma radiations. Gamma radiations is one of the three types of natural radiations. Okay, is one of the other two types of natural radiations are nothing but alpha and beta gamma radiations, which are in the form of particles. The gamma rays are electromagnetic radiations just like X-rays. Okay, so the gamma rays are most energetic form of electromagnetic radiations. So gamma rays generally are produced by one of the three types of natural radioactivity. Okay, so the other two of natural radioactivity are nothing but alpha and beta. So generally the radioactive nature which happens, it occurs generally in three forms. One is gamma radiations, second is alpha and beta radiations. These alpha and beta radiations will again release some amount of energy. That's what we mean here. So the gamma radiation is a product of radioactive atoms. Depending upon the ratio of the neutrons and protons, that is nothing but the nucleons, so it will become unstable, so it cannot be able to hold. So when the bending energy is nothing but the energy required to hold the nucleons or the protons and neutrons inside the nucleus, basing upon the size of the atom, if it is not strong enough to hold them, then it will be releasing that energy. So we might have studied about half-life. So the same thing will be studying. You can see here half-life is also there. So a nucleus which is in excited state, that will release some amount of energy or photons. Okay, so the isotopes, the number of nucleons, isotopes are nothing but, we might have studied about isotopes in our early classes. That is isotope is an atom which will have a same atomic number but whereas different mass numbers. For example, you can see C12, C13, C14. These are the various isotopes of carbon. So similarly similarly can have so few elements, all the elements cannot have isotopes, few elements have isotopes. One of them is carbon, another is you can say uranium 234, uranium 232, uranium 236, uranium 238, plutonium 214. So these are the few elements which are having isotopes. Half-life, what is this half-life? Is nothing but, half-life is the amount of time required for a quantity to fall to its half value. For example, you are having C12, so from C12 it has to come back to 6. So basing on that, how much amount it is taking to become half of it. Okay, time required for the quantity to fall to its half value measured at the beginning of the time period. So it is the time required for the half of the unstable radioatom in a sample to undergo radio decay. So by using this technique itself, we can able to identify how old the skeletons present inside the earth, how old the naturally the architecture people do this radioactivity nature, to understand the archaeology where to which year this belongs to, so that half-life can be studied on the materials. Okay, so the gamma ray sources are electromagnetic radiations emitted by unstable element. Similarly, X-ray machines which have high broad wavelength, that also will produce a gamma rays. So the radiography with gamma rays has the advantages of simplicity of the apparatus, compactness, radiation sources and independence from the outside power. So it does not require any outside power. This facilitates the examination of pipes, pressure valves and other assemblies inside, in which the access to interior is difficult. So each isotope with unstable nucleus will have the characteristic nuclear energy level and intensity for the emitted radiation. So the varieties of radioisotopes are produced in a nuclear reactor, but a few have been utilized for the purpose. So the most popular radioactive sources is nothing but cobalt, iridium, cesium, thulium, that is nothing but thorium. Generally thulium is nothing but its Latin name, that the general name is nothing but thorium. Okay, so the man-made radioactive sources are produced by introducing an extra neutron to an atom of source material. For example, if you are having some material, for that we will add an extra neutron. Okay, because that is nothing but called as a man-made, artificially made radioactive element. As the material get rid of the neutron, so when it is having an extra neutron, it will become unstable. So what it will try to get rid of that. That is nothing but it will try to release that. So that release will be in the form of a gamma rays. Two of the most common industrial gamma sources for industry radiography are iridium and cobalt. These two atoms, with what they will do, they will add the nucleons to the atom, basing on that the atom will release some X-rays. So in comparison to X-ray generators, cobalt 60 produce energy comparison to 1.25 megavolts of X-ray system, and iridium will produce 460 kilowatt X-ray system. These high energy makes it possible to penetrate thick materials which are relatively short exposure time. So inspection techniques, so with this we can stop. So inspection techniques and other how the X-rays are being studied, that we will see what are the various types of films which we generally use for identifying of the X-rays and gamma rays, that we will discuss in our next lectures. Okay.